The topic of Star Trek has been through so much debate ever since the J.J. Abrams film trilogy known as the Kelvin Timeline. Now, I am not as hard on the Kelvin Timeline films as a lot of other YouTube commentators. However, the direction that Alex Kurtzman, since his film company has taken over Star Trek under the guidance of Paramount and CBS, there's no question that has been a disaster. It has been so bad that Paramount is trying to sell itself to Skydance. However, a new bidder has entered the chat. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute, going for a ride down the side. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. All right, and as I said from the outset, Alex Kurtzman, who is a friend of J.J. Abrams, he took over Star Trek through his production company, Secret Hideout, and that's how we get Star Trek Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, Prodigy, and of course the new film Section 31. Now, I reviewed a bunch of these, not all of them, but a bunch of these on my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, so I won't rehash what I think about them here. But needless to say, there is sort of a collective agreement that the quality in Star Trek has dropped significantly at the least, or at the most, it's a dead franchise. I tended to be a doomsayer about Star Trek. The damage done to the brand has been even worse than what Kathleen Kennedy has done to Star Wars. It has been a total and complete disaster with a few pockets of occasional positivity sprinkled in there, but for the most part, they would just kind of tickle the fans with some nostalgia, but then ultimately crush them, trying to subvert your expectations. And I can say, as a longtime Trekker fan who got introduced into the franchise through Star Trek The Next Generation, I don't want my expectations subverted. I want them exceeded. I don't know why Hollywood can't get that together. Anyway, it appears that because of the brand damage, not just to Star Trek, but Paramount, which also owns Nickelodeon, for example, CBS, and a whole bunch of other important, what you would think would be important channels like MTV, another great example, they have gone under because the current powers that be just can't handle it. So Skydance has long been the top bidder to own Paramount, and apparently they do want to rehash and redo Star Trek. There's actually a rumor going around that they want to do some sort of Genesis wave event similar to what happened in the finale of Star Trek The Next Generation, although in that series, Captain Picard, spoiler alert, stopped it from happening, but they actually want to reset it even past Star Trek Enterprise. I don't know if that's true or not. That's a rumor that's been going around, so take that with a grain of salt. Now, a new bidder has entered the chat, and they are offering way more money than Skydance can even hope to afford. And behind the whole plot, apparently, it is Tesla CEO Elon Musk. So this is according to bleedingfool.com. In a surprising turn of events, a consortium of investors has made a last-minute bid of $13.5 billion for Paramount Global, claiming their offer is superior to the existing deal backed by Larry Ellison and Skydance Media. As reported by Variety on Friday afternoon, the 11th hour proposal raises questions about the future of Paramount and the competitive landscape of the media industry. It also kept secret the specific players behind the bid, but for two revealing clues. Project Rise Partners, a consortium of investors, submitted the last-minute $13.5 billion all-cash offer for Paramount Global, challenging the existing deal with Skydance. The group sent a legal letter to Paramount's board noting the superiority of their bid compared to the $8 billion Skydance offer, creating a fiduciary stewardship dilemma for the company's board. The details of the new proposal includes $19 per Class B share, a 27 increase over Skydance's $15 per share, and adds $2 billion to Paramount's balance sheet. The unexpected development comes as Skydance Media and Redbird Capital Partners, backed by tech billionaire Larry Ellison, were finalizing their acquisition of Paramount. The existing Skydance deal has been described as a robust financial arrangement, but the investor group has the upper hand here as their cash offer is superior, mainly because cash provides immediate benefits to shareholders, contrasting with the complexities and potential risk involved in the Skydance proposal. The curious thing about this 11th hour bid is who is behind it. The consortium of investors calls itself Project Rise Partners, but Variety shared some intriguing details that some may have missed. Sources say Project Rise Partners is also backed by titans of industry comparable to Larry Ellison and includes at least one of the richest men in the world, and as well as a company partner that is a pioneer in the satellite industry. I don't know why I made Variety British. That was weird. Who might be considered one of the richest men in the world, who is also a pioneer in the satellite industry? Elon Musk is the world's wealthiest man in the world with a net worth of 433.9 billion as of January 2025. In fact, he became the first person in history to surpass a $400 billion net worth, driven primarily by his significant stakes in SpaceX, valued at $350 billion, and Tesla. Musk has also revolutionized the satellite industry through SpaceX's groundbreaking innovations, most notably the Starlink satellite constellation, which aims to provide global high-speed internet access by developing reusable rocket technology that dramatically reduces launch costs and designing advanced satellites with direct-to-cell capabilities. Musk has transformed space technology and connectivity and is opening new frontiers for global communication and connectivity. So then they go into a little bit about all the assets that Paramount has, like Star Trek, like Mission Impossible, and whatnot. But I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to another juicy part of the story, which I found interesting. It's interesting to note that this is not the first time someone has suggested Elon Musk consider taking over Paramount, along with its Star Trek property. In fact, William Shatner, the original and still the best Star Trek captain of all time, may have been the first to float the idea on X last August. Since then, Make Star Trek Great Again, a playoff of Donald Trump's Make America Great Again campaign slogan, has become a rallying cry for some fans of the franchise who have been disappointed with the Alex Kurtzman era of Star Trek. So then it shows William Shatner sharing an Elon Musk tweet that says, "Let's make Starfleet Academy real." And then William Shatner says, "So does that mean you are buying Paramount?" with some emojis doing this. That's not the whole article. I want you to go to bleedingfool.com and read the rest of it for yourself. And also check them out. They've got a lot of great commentary on pop culture. Now, how do I feel about this as a Star Trek fan? And please note, I'm not speaking for all of Star Trek fandom. I am speaking for myself as a longtime Trekker. I watched Star Trek The Next Generation when it was new. I watched Star Trek Voyager when it was new. I went back and watched the original series, which is a masterpiece. I went back and watched Deep Space Nine, and I went back and watched Enterprise a few years after they had aired, but I did go back and watch them. I've watched all the films, and I can say, as a fan of classic timeline Star Trek, that I would love this move. Elon Musk certainly seems to have a bead on what is going on in the culture with what fans and fandoms want, and he does pay good lip service. It seems like William Shatner, again, who played Captain Kirk, endorses this idea, and I would be there for it. I would love to see Star Trek and Nickelodeon and MTV go back to their roots. You know, Nickelodeon being sort of a mature but still kid friendly channel with all kinds of amazing and original adventures. I would love for Mission Impossible to continue as it is, and I would love to see Star Trek return to form. If Elon Musk is behind this, if he has entered the chat as one of these bidders, I would love to see this. I would be excited for it. I would love to see some actors who have been blacklisted because of their political views get returned to activity through this deal. That would be fantastic. I think that Elon Musk really knows how to handle it. Remember when he bought X and all these advertisers ditched when he said he was going to be about free speech, right? For some reason, free speech was bad to these advertisers. Well, what happens? Slowly but surely, they made their way back to the platform, and X is still going on. I'm not going to say it's like this ginormous success because social media itself, and I say this as a social media marketer, it is very tedious right now, especially with AI entering the picture, but he proved the naysayers wrong. And hopefully he could do that with Star Trek. For me, Star Trek, it has always had sort of a liberal slant. No one can deny that. But there's a difference between being politically correct and being woke, being drowned in identity politics. And certainly the classic Star Trek had a liberal slant. Gene Roddenberry himself was a liberal, and he worked that into his stories. The difference is Roddenberry was not heavy-handed, and he knew the importance of telling a good story, as did his successor, Bergman. He understood that you can't just drown everything in one political ideology. And they even had, especially in the original series, they even had a very telling episode where they even sort of praised Christianity as what brought civilization to the world. And I thought that that was very cool of them. Then, of course, Alex Kurtzman comes along, as does J.J. Abrams in some ways, and they just decided we're going to drown Star Trek in modern day era identity politics. We're not going to tell stories that are hopeful and optimistic and seeing the good in humanity. We're going to drown it in darkness and eyeballs and everything in between. So I hope that whether it be Elon Musk is behind this, or hey, even if Skydance buys it, I really hope that Paramount will shift Star Trek back to its roots and return it to its former glory. Star Trek was a game changer in science fiction, and I would love to see it return to that status. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment, tell what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you would be so kind, head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have all kinds of commentary, reviews, news on all things pop culture. Best of all, it's free and there are no ads. All you have to do is sign up with your email or through the WordPress app, and you get at least one article a day regarding something to do with pop culture. If you want to support the work that I do, head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. You can sign up for a monthly subscription or send my articles tips. Also, I have exclusive articles there that are just for my locals community, so you can check those out. I also post my short stories on that platform. Speaking of stories, check out my books. I've got 4 of them released right now. I've got Cacophony, which is a supernatural thriller about warring angels and demons. I've got my Sword and Sorcery trilogy, The Seven Royals. Book 1 is All Good Things. Book 2 is Breaking the Stars. It follows a group of your favorite fairy tale characters who have to defeat a dark army that is storming their lands. Book 1 and Book 2 are out. Book 3 is coming soon, and I'll have an announcement about that imminently. Last but certainly not least is my latest fantasy romance novella, Blessed Child. It follows an elf princess who discovers she is pregnant with a human child. This sends the elven kingdom into chaos, and her father, the king of the elves, has to hire her a bodyguard. He hires a disgraced knight who is on the path of redemption to protect her, and the two form an unlikely friendship. It is about courage under fire, it is life affirming, and it has this really grand adventure. If you would be so kind, pick up 1 or all 4 at Amazon.com and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.